They were certainly paying attention, although different offering, but they see the horror stories that are out there about OpenAI and Anthropic and consumptions and these companies that started using ChatGPT Enterprise and all of a sudden have a bill for $4 million that they weren't expecting. Consumption, flywheel.
Welcome to Insights for IT Negotiations, a podcast by UpperEdge, a leading IT sourcing, negotiation, and project execution advisory firm. I'm John Belden, UpperEdge's Chief Research and Strategy Officer.
And I'm Kylie Chisholm, UpperEdge's Marketing Manager. Join us every other week as we share insights to help you maximize the value of your key IT relationships. In each episode, we'll delve into the topics that matter most to IT decision makers and sourcing professionals.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Insights for IT Negotiations podcast. I am Kylie Chisholm. I am UpperEdge's Content Marketing Manager, and I am joined once again by our Salesforce practice leader, among other vendors, Adam Mansfield. Adam, how are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing, it is crazy. It is afternoon already.
It is afternoon.
Probably because we were just talking about movies for about 45 minutes. But anyways.
It's true.
No, I'm doing good. Looking forward to this chat based on some of the things you wanted to talk about today. I'm certainly know that this is going to be stuff that our audience is interested in.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And it's not movies, unfortunately, this time around. Maybe next time.
Well, maybe I'll sneak it in.
Maybe we'll sneak it in.
See what I can do.
But Salesforce has recently announced some really big changes all around the consumption-based pricing. So we're just going to dive right in. We have these recent announcements. They're going to charge based on outcomes now instead of that consumption-based model. Can you shed a little bit of light on what this change actually means?
Yeah, so it's a really good point. I actually like the way, and I intentionally didn't want to talk before we got on here about this because I actually like the way you asked it because it actually makes a really good point in and of itself, the question. Mm-hmm. So there is definitely some layers of confusion out there, right? Which is what I want to jump into. So at its core, so what you're talking about is Agentforce Help Agent, which is essentially an AI-driven autonomous service agent that they're pushing onto the market. It's going to be available now. They announced it going into the front part of this month. And yes, it's outcome-based, right? It's paid per resolution, and I'll get to that in a second. There is still an element of consumption, which I'll get to as well. But the point that I really want to start with is that Agentforce, like the thing that you and I have been talking about, the thing that's been out for a while, that still exists, right? So there's still Agentforce Flex credits, or you could buy it as $2 per conversation. Like that still is a thing. Or you can go with the most robust version of Service Cloud, and you can get it from with an add-on. Like that still exists. So it's a slice tailored for autonomous AI service agent work. That yes, the big news is Salesforce is saying, hey, we're going to charge you outcome-based, right? So a couple of the mechanics of it, and we'll talk a little bit about, I know we all have more questions for you. Mechanics. So $2, so same number, right? $2 instead of $2 per conversation. Now it's $2 per resolution. Now, what is a resolution? Ultimately, it's the way they've defined it. And this is where customers need to, just like when we talk about what's a conversation or with ServiceNow, what's an assist or whatever it may be, you still need to take, even though you're outcome-based, resolution-based, customers should still be going down that path of what's a resolution, which I'll talk about some more in a minute. But it's pretty straightforward. So you don't pay Salesforce anything unless an issue is resolved. Start to finish, it's run through the autonomous AI offering that you bought from ServiceNow. Okay? That's a key word, autonomous. So if in the service agent interaction with the Salesforce customer's customer, that customer doesn't feel they got the answer and they flag it, I'd like to speak to someone, a human, not resolved. So any type of escalation, you don't pay for that. Now, I did mention a minute ago, there's a component that's somewhat consumption-based.
Yeah.
And this is where I tend to get in trouble, which is fine. I tend to get in trouble a lot in different forms of my life. But what I would tell you is, over the years, well, what are you talking about? I'm still not paying unless there's a resolution. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I get it. But when they start talking about pre-purchasing of packs of resolution, so it's $2 per conversation, but you can prepay for 1,000, a minimum of 1,000 resolutions. Now, obviously, we'll get to this, I'm sure, at some point in a few minutes about what you should be doing as customers, so forth and so on. But the point is, now that signals something. That signals that you have a pool of resolutions that you draw down on, consume, and then you buy more. So it's so yes, I'm still giving them credit for the fact that it's resolution based. They're putting that out there. But there's still mechanics that all customers need to be aware of. They shouldn't just be like, wow, thank you. Where do I sign? The details are still going to be important.
Interesting. Okay, that's really helpful. Honestly, part of the reason I wanted to do this episode with you is as we've been making this content around outcome-based pricing, I've had a lot of questions. So that even just cleared up a lot with my own understanding. So then I guess, why do you think Salesforce is taking this approach, especially since I feel like consumption-based is still pretty new lingo in the industry?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things, right? And I try to be very fair. I know that a lot of times, whether it's comments we get or clients or whatever, you're like, oh, you must not like Salesforce. It's like, well, no, I think they're great. They're fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I mean, I know that sounds bad, but like, what I care about is the clients get the right deals. They have the right relationships, the right transparency. But to answer your question, I'm actually going to step in here and be like, good job, Salesforce.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, right? It shows me that a couple things. One, I think they were listening to their customers. They were certainly paying attention, although different offering, but they see the horror stories that are out there about OpenAI and Anthropic and consumptions and these companies that started using ChatGPT Enterprise and all of a sudden have a bill for $4 million that they weren't expecting. Consumption, flywheel. So I think they listened a little bit. I think there's got to be an element of confidence, right? So in other words, it's like, you're not going to pay me unless the thing does what you need it to do. Okay. Now, during the press release and the commentary around it, they even talk about, well, we've been using it, meaning Salesforce has been using their own, and they're so happy with the success of what they've gotten from it, that has elevated their confidence. They mentioned some of their lighthouse or initial customers, right? Now, whether there's some truth to that or not, that's a conversation for a different day. But I will tell them there is a sign of confidence in it doing what it's supposed to. And then I think the other piece is sales cycles. I think they've been getting a lot of pushback. I think it's not just me, but look at earnings calls or the media or, their stock, right? They're not pushing or landing as many Agentforce deals that have consumption-based because there's concern. So customers are like, all right, I'm kind of interested, but this consumption thing doesn't really make me too happy. And what do you think? How much do you think I'm going to use? How much should I forecast? What's going to happen? Like, I don't know. I think that has slowed some of their sales cycles. Customers are like, what about the ROI? What about the ROI? What about definitions? I don't want to give it to you. I don't know consumption. Outcome, it's a little straightforward.
Yeah.
So I think, again, I want to give them credit for that. But at the end of the day, if you really are asking me, and you think about what I just said, they are a publicly traded company. They do need to increase their revenue. They have significant investor pressure. So this is a way in which to sell something, license something, which maybe has removed some friction with the goal of increasing the customer spend.
Did you know that UpperEdge offers subscription advisory services? This on-demand solution provides essential benchmarks and market insights specific to your business needs precisely when you need it, empowering you and your team to make informed decisions for your IT initiatives. Position your team for success. Reach out today via the link in the show notes to learn more.
So then I guess that does bring me to my next question. And I was even thinking this as we were drafting some content around this, how it feels like this is very much in the customer's favor in a lot of ways. Like I remember reading through as we were drafting through a blog, like it almost felt a little too good to be true of like, this is really this favors the customer, it feels like. So is this actually a good thing for Salesforce customers?
Yeah, it's a great question. And for everyone out there, when you see a blog that has my name on it, Kylie is very instrumental in that blog. I'll just leave it at that. Not that I'm not part of it, but she is very much part of it. So, with that being said, I think it is a good look. I think if you, as the customer, still put the rigor into understanding resolution, understanding how the mechanics work. I mean, there's a whole thing I'm not even going to get into now. I have it up on the screen. I'm not going to read it, but there's this whole thing about the number of actions that occur within 10 minutes, have a certain count, and then there's still things in the fine print you need to still understand. So yes, you're not tracking consumption or need forecasting. Like Data 360 and Agentforce, that's unmetered as part of this, right? So that's good, but you still need to get into the weeds, okay?
Yeah.
Could it be a good thing? Yes. Again, it's all about how it's structured, and which also leads me to when you get into these relationships, when you start trying and tasting and using, you have to make sure your constructs, your commercial constructs, your relationships are also structured the right way. So you're actually still making sure that it's not buyer's remorse. Because yes, you have the definitions, but at the same time, you have volume tiered, you have those resolution packs fuller defined, you have flexibility, protections, the things we always talk about. But foundationally, I think this definitely could be a really good thing for customers. I will also say this. I have said this before many times. And where I'm going with this is, at the end of the day, UpperEdge, myself, we are not a research firm. We are not technologists. We don't have revenue streams to talk about and learn about the products, and we don't do that. We're agnostic. So I just want to caveat, is the solution still good? I mean, it could be. So in other words, even though a resolution is how you pay, is it still adequate for your environment? Like your customers are used to a certain type of resolution. If it's bot AI driven, yes, something may get resolved, but is there a dynamic there that has changed that then funnels back to the business? Not my call.
Yeah.
But those things, when you talk AI, when you talk about service agents, when you talk about autonomous, that's a big consideration beyond the things that we focus on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a really good point. And I guess that honestly, that leads me into my last question for you, which is thinking about those considerations. What tips or thoughts do you have for Salesforce customers that they need to push if they're interested in adding Agentforce Help Agent and like really diving into this outcome-based?
Trust me, I always want to say help desk too.
It just flows so much more naturally.
Come on, Salesforce, what are you doing?
Yeah, seriously.
Make my life easier. That's okay. So, a couple things. I've talked about it. You still need to get through the transparency. What's a resolution? You need to get those packs, 1,000. Does that make sense for you? What if you only need 50? What if you get more? Shouldn't you get economies of scale, volume discounting? $2, like, come on, I'm not paying list. Like, all that things, protections, right? All of that. But here's the other thing I think is really important. And I like the way you left this for the end. You probably knew where I was going to go with this. Given the level of importance, increasing customers' revenue, becoming an AI leader, getting Agentforce adoption, showing the market that, hey, look, we made a bold stand and we went pay per resolution, we went outcome based, and look at the benefits. They need those success stories. It's incredibly important to them. There'll be a webinar at the end of August about Salesforce. I will be on that webinar. And there's a whole section we always talk about what matters most. Well, this matters most to them. So why do I say this now? Don't forget about your larger Salesforce relationship. Now, I don't know if your renewal is way far out. Doesn't matter. Try to renegotiate. Open the thing up. How are you doing with Marketing Cloud? How are you doing with Tableau? How's the relationship with Commerce Cloud? How is your underlying Sales Cloud? Are you paying too much? Are you not getting the full value? Do you want Salesforce to lean in on other areas where you're already spending? Use this point in time to get the Agentforce Help Agent deal right, but introduce the rest of the landscape. Introduce that. Try to renegotiate. And I would also tell you, I just mentioned, are you getting value? You're focused on Agentforce, Help Agent. Maybe there's an Agentforce other POC in flight. Tie them together. Maybe you haven't gotten the full value. Do you know if you get spend due diligence on all your other products? Put that in front of Salesforce and say, look, I need the right deal construct for this Help Agent, but I got all these other things. So don't just focus on the shiny new thing you want. I need all of it to be accounted for. So in other words, use this point in time to force dialogue, action around your larger relationship. Because honestly, points in time only come certain points in time, right? It's why it's called a point in time. Well, we're in one. And if you have it going on right now, this fiscal year for them, FY27, Dreamforce coming up, even more leverage to make sure to strike now because they need those success stories, they need those wins, they need those revenue. So don't just think this, think all of it.
And I really appreciate you taking the time today because like I said, this was sort of a cloudy area for me as well. I'm sure for a lot of our listeners, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
It was cloudy, huh? Like cloud software?
Like cloud. Oh, I didn't even do that on purpose. Wow.
All right. Well,
I should take credit for it. That was on purpose.
That was really good.
But thank you, Adam. That was a really great conversation. And like I said, we have been working on content around this, so I'll make sure to have that linked in the show notes as well. So that way it helps our listeners get more of a full picture of exactly what's going on. And they have your contact information in case they have specific questions for their need, because that's exactly what we specialize in. But otherwise, thank you everyone for listening. And thank you so much, Adam, for your time.
Thank you for listening to Insights for IT Negotiations. This episode was hosted by John Belden and Kylie Chisholm and produced by Mike Brown. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss a new episode. For more information on IT sourcing and risk management strategies, visit UpperEdge.com and subscribe to our monthly UpperEdge newsletter. Thank you for listening.